Mike, check, check, check. Justin Hunt, it's all happening. Thanking everybody rocking with the channel. Thanking everyone who subscribed to this channel through the Cash App or the link tree. It's priceless. Big shout out to my newest member, Doc Collector. Thank you very much. 9-second applause. Word up. All right. So J. Cole just dropped a new track. It's called Port Antonio. Port Antonio. Now, Cole has been, as the third member of the Big Three, after he apologized for 7 Minute Drill during Dreamville Fest, I think it's called Dreamville Fest, he's had himself in a weird situation. He's had people, a lot of people, hip hop definitely, have looked at him a little bit differently. I won't say all of hip hop, but there's a lot of people who look at hip hop as including the art of the battle, and his reluctance to do so in this situation as being a knock against him. In recent days, there's been clips from different commenters. Rory and Mal, for example, have a theory that Drake's about to turn his attention to Drake's about to turn his attention to J. Cole during the 100 gig Finsta drops. Drake appeared to be shading J. Cole in there. So these conversations have been around. I was actually going to cover that story today. It's one of the stories I have lined up for today, so I'm still going to do it, but it's going to include this. But nevertheless, there's been a lot swirling around J. Cole and where he stands following his reluctance to participate in this battle, which ended up being the greatest rap battle in hip-hop history. And with a lot of those questions in the air, J. Cole has decided to respond to many of them in Port Antonio. Port Antonio. So I haven't heard the track. I've only seen some dialogue around it, around the link. Shout out to Boxed In BX. I was looking through BX and they were like, oh, here's a J. Cole track. BX always put me on. So let's take a listen. Let's see Port Antonio. I like this vibe already. Introspective.
Young Jermaine walked the straight and narrow, minimum wage jobs for the narrow, but still my mind was on the zeros. I fiend for the perks that was seen flipping birds, so we was skipping church, but my eyes was on the sparrow.
We was skipping church, but my eyes was on the sparrow. Minimum wage jobs, but I still fiend for dinero. Okay. Reflective, introspective.
Niggas flipping pies, spending thousands on apparel. Shit, I wanna shine too. I want dimes too. Jealous niggas wanna know just how my rhymes blew. Mano y mano, I'm Bono, I'm you times two.
Mano y mano, I'm Bono, I'm you times two. Nice flip. 1 second applause.
Now I'm bougie, I done outgrew the fountain blue, but never forgot the spot where I developed my plot. To dwell at the top, the veil where all my skeletons locked. If I could do it all over, then I never would swap. I seen good, I seen bad, had my melanin mocked.
I seen good, I seen bad, had my melanin mocked. I mean, culture ended up being really loud in this battle. It spilled over in a lot of different directions. I can tell you that. It definitely did. You know what I mean? I wonder where he's going with this. Let's see.
Lifelong friends turned to devilish ops. I was Mike in red leather trying to tell him to stop. You better beat it before you see that heavy metal get popped.
It's cool because it feels like he's drawing an illusion so far. It feels like he's talking about young things, his life growing up. It feels like he's talking about experiences he's had in Fayetteville and perhaps other places. Let's see where he takes this.
He was a mean-ass wing with a hell of a shot. But if no team draft king, he gon' bet on the block. He wanna ball till he fall until the Federals knock. And sit his ass on the bench for moving careless with rock. You can't relate unless your father was not around. And your mother went out and found someone else and then brought around. And they salaries didn't combine. When they married and brought you out of that poverty, then you moved to a soft little part of town. So that when you back in the hood, you feel awkward about it now.
Yeah, I mean, this feels like he's talking about himself. It feels like he's talking about himself so far, and that's very real. That's a very real Black experience. I mean, truthfully, that's the Boondocks. Were they Woodbridge? Did Huey and Riley live in Chicago? Then they moved to Woodbridge with their grandfather? And then there's the episode when Huey's friend from Chicago comes to visit, and they all look at him like he's soft now. I like it when J. Cole gets in the Boondocks boxes, by the way. This is the Boondocks. I feel like sometimes I feel like Huey mixed with Riley. On Thursday, I'll be trying to save the world. On Friday, I hit the club. I feel like he's talking about his upbringing right now.
Then your confidence start to drown, but the rapping gave you some positive thoughts, so you jot them down. You jot them down. Ride to it, 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 ride to it. Y'all niggas ain't stopping me. Y'all niggas ain't stopping me.
I'm not mad at this at all so far. And I'm usually pretty critical of J. Cole overall, as you guys know. But this represents the type of J. Cole that I really love. I really love introspective J. Cole. I love his freestyles. I love his guest appearances. I love when he's really introspective like this, where he lives a lot of time, but this one is really potent to me. And perhaps because I know so many people who this can directly relate to this story. You know, this is a story that I've seen growing up, you know, so I perhaps that's where my appreciation comes from so far. Let's see what happens next.
Y'all niggas ain't stopping me. Y'all niggas ain't stopping me. Y'all niggas ain't stopping me.
I mean, truthfully, you know, I guess Drake grew up with his mom, but that part earlier in the track where he's talking about how, you know, you're confident, where his confidence is getting shook or gets tested when he goes back to the blacker side of town or goes back to the hood. Being someone growing up as a fish out of a water, or a fish out of a different water, so to speak, kind of makes me feel like perhaps what it was like at different points of time when Drake went to Memphis to spend time with his dad. Maybe I'm reaching. Let me know what you think in the comment section.
Y'all niggas ain't stopping me. Y'all niggas ain't stopping me. Yeah. Benjamin Button, cold flows, reverse time. To find deliveries good as mine, you gotta search primes. I'm scaling heights higher than birds can perch, trying to be something, hoping that peace comes to my cursed mind. One thing's for sure that I've matured.
Hope and peace comes to my cursed mind. That's kind of what he was talking about on the Dreamville stage when he apologized. Like, one of the things he was talking about was how much work he'd done on himself leading up to that point and why his spirit didn't feel right after he dropped 7 Minute Drill. Similar energies.
From my first rhyme, I learned long ago you can't please them all and it hurts trying. In this game where all you've got is your name like Dirk, I'm smirking at niggas trying to besmirch mine. Absurd times where the fake get told it is wise. I can see hate in both of your eyes, but the third's blind. So you search lines, but you struggle, which explains the puzzled look on the dull faces the word finds. I hate when raps become but like do not disturb signs. Can't knock it if I see it's about to do. They instigate the fuckery because it's profitable. But singing stop the violence tunes with dudes in hospitals. I pulled the plug because I seen where that was about to go. They wanted blood, they wanted clicks to make their pockets grow.
Let me hear that part again. Let me run that back. I'm gonna run that back just a little bit. Let's see what he said. I want to hear that one more time because that feels important. Let me hear it.
Absurd times where the fake get told it is wise. I can see hate in both of your eyes, but the third's blind.
I can see hate in both of your eyes, but the third's blind. Now, I like it. That feels like a dope flip there too, because, you know, let's say you're talking to one person. I can see hate in both of your eyes, but your third eye's not open, your third eye's blind, right? He just set it up talking about he's trying to find peace in his cursed mind, right? But then at the same time, this was the big three battle. I can see hate in both of your eyes and your eyes. Dre, I see it both of y'all. But the third's blind. I don't have hate in my eyes. He didn't have hate in his eyes for either one of these two incredible artists he's always compared to or positioned next to. I like that flip.
So you search lines, but you struggle, which explains the puzzled look on the dull faces the word finds. I hate when raps become, but like do not disturb signs. Can't knock it if I see it's about to do. They instigate the fuckery because it's profitable. But singing stop the violence tunes with dudes in hospitals. I pulled the plug because I seen where that was about to go.
I pulled the plug where I seen where that was about to go. Okay. I think we're right there.
They wanted blood, they wanted clicks to make their pockets grow.
They wanted blood, they wanted clicks to make their pockets grow.
They see this fire in my pen and think I'm dodging smoke.
They see this fire in my pen and think I'm dodging smoke.
I wouldn't have lost a battle, dog. I would have lost a bro.
I wouldn't have lost a battle, dog. I would have lost a bro. I guess that's the position he's in regardless, right? I mean, one, I think it's interesting that he said I wouldn't have lost a battle. It's almost like... it's almost like, you know, I guess maybe if you win, you've created an enemy or you would have lost a bro. And if you lose, you would have also lost a bro, I guess. I don't know. It's weird to me. It feels like he doesn't frame this in the mind of seeing himself as potentially coming out victorious, and perhaps that's his point. Perhaps his point is like, you know, nobody wins when the family feuds kind of thing. You know, maybe that's his perspective on this. But I feel like this really does support, perhaps more succinctly, than what we heard him say during Dreamville Fest.
I would have gained a foe, and all for what? Just to attain some old props from strangers that don't got a clue what I've been aiming for since.
I would have gained a foe for what? Props for some strangers that have no clue what I've been aiming for. I mean... I just don't like the consistent nature of it feeling like J. Cole takes zero responsibility for participating in the back and forth over the course of these years. I mean, J. Cole hasn't been absent for sending shots or sneak disses or subliminals. Like everybody was doing it. Everybody was doing this for the past 10 years. That's part of the reason why I think the moniker Big Three applies to them. Not necessarily just because they sell so many records, but they've been dancing around each other for a decade. And Cole was a part of that too. You know, so far he's framing this, and even before this, he consistently seems to frame this from a perspective of like, I was just kind of hanging around and all this blew up around me. I didn't contribute anything to it. Let's see where this song goes. And don't get me wrong, I feel where he's coming from. I feel it. He's explaining he wouldn't have lost a battle, he would have lost a bro. You know, that means more. But it kind of feels like this is something that landed on him. And I don't think that's the case at all.
It's the age of 14, Jermaine is no king. If that means I gotta dig up dirt and pay the whole team of algorithm bot niggas just to sway the whole thing on social media, competing for your favorable memes to be considered best to live and rest. The way to...
I don't think he has to do all of that. You know, I think that this is, you know, where perhaps this battle ended up. But just because the nature of this conflict, this lyrical conflict that's taking place in the safe confines of the music industry, largely, don't get me wrong, I understand the spillover effect of how these things go. I think Cole, generally speaking, wouldn't have, I don't think anybody around Cole would, it definitely wouldn't be whatever it is, you know, from Drake's side, in my opinion. Maybe I'm wrong, you know, let's take that part aside, but this idea that like this battle had to go into bots and things like that for him to win. You know, I don't know yet, Cole. Let me see. Let's see where you go.
Both things. I understand the thirst of being first that made them both swing, protecting legacies. So lines got crossed, perhaps regrettably.
I understand the thirst to being first that made them both swing, protect your legacy. I mean, I don't know, man. Okay, I'm gonna have to let this rock for a little bit, but this J. Cole been above it all thing, the way he's positioned himself, I don't personally feel like that's accurate. I just don't. You know, I guess maybe at this point, considering now that Drake has been, subbing him. I mean, if you look at the Fence Stick Out drop, for example, if you look at some of these conversations that have been happening this week about Drake planning to turn his attention on J. Cole or Jay-Z or whatever, perhaps that's it. But in the 10-year run that's been here, J. Cole has called out a lot of names. Eminem, Macklemore, Azalea, Wale, Kanye, No Name. Like, he's done a lot of that in general. And in this battle, there's a lot of things that could be taken as subs that he has contributed to this as well. You know what I mean? So, I don't know. This is the part where J. Cole loses me. He loses me when he gets to this point where he's like, as if he's been, he's a third participant that's caught in the middle. No, Cole has had the desire to be the greatest too. He's been doing all the things too. Now, I guess his peace process that he went through, that, maybe over the past couple of years is perhaps where his energy is coming from or what he keeps referencing. But this really stands out to me. Let's see.
Friends went to war, I walked away with all they blood on me. Now some will discredit me, try wipe away my pedigree, but please find a nigga out that's rapping this incredibly.
I can. Here, yeah, Daylight. Daylight's rapping that incredibly. King Los is rapping that incredibly. Kendrick's definitely rapping that incredibly. You know what I mean? So, I get it. I get it, Cole. I get it. I like the song overall. It's only when I start digging into it where it starts hitting me differently. But that's part of the fun of all this.
My dog texted me, I share the words he said to me. If you refuse to shoot the gun, don't mean the gun ain't deadly. I guess in that metaphor, hypothetically, the gun is me. I texted back like, guess a gun ain't what I'm trying to be, my nigga. They stripped me of my spot and now I'm finally free, my nigga. They say I'm picking sides, hey, don't you lie on me, my nigga. To start another war, hey, Drake, you'll always be my nigga.
All right, so I guess that's not going to happen. There's no good. At least it sounds like J. Cole is not going to participate. Should there be a battle between him and Drake, or should Drake instigate? It sounds like Cole is not going to participate. Let's hear that part again.
Gun is me. I texted back like, guess a gun ain't what I'm trying to be, my nigga. They stripped me of my spot and now I'm finally free, my nigga. They say I'm picking sides, hey, don't you lie on me, my nigga. To start another war, hey, Drake, you'll always be my nigga. I ain't ashamed to say you did a lot for me, my nigga.
That part's big too. Yeah, it sounds like he's backing out. I guess we can put all that to rest. J. Cole is officially out of the battle game. He has no desire to compete, at least in this situation, or at least in that manner. I think maybe that's a fair way to say it, at least in that manner, which is fair, And I like the fact that he said that Drake did a lot for him. I appreciate him saying that. Because one, this whole narrative that Drake put everybody on, I personally think that is a misnomer. I think that is how the industry works. And I feel like there's a lot of exchange. Obviously, I've talked about this quite a bit. A lot of exchange that takes place. Like, there's a cultural cachet exchange that has happened in a lot of ways, too. But it does mean something to hear J. Cole say that he's not afraid to say that Drake did a lot for him, too. And I think that's dope.
Fuck all the narratives. Tapping back into your magic pen is what's imperative. Reminding these folks why we do it. It's not for beefing, it's for speaking our thoughts, pushing ourselves, reaching the charts, reaching your minds, deep in your hearts, creeping to find emotions to touch, something inside to open you up, help you cope with the rough times and shit. I'm sending love cause we ain't prime and shit, my nigga, y'all nigga.
Okay, so in that last part too, he completely removes competition for all the reasons that people do it, and I respect it. This is an art form. But this is an art form that's always had competition at the core of it. Now, that to me is very different than beef, by the way. To me, it's very different than beef. And I don't think people do, I feel confident in saying most people don't engage in rap or hip hop for beef. But a lot of people do also for competition. I just went to the BC1 championships. That was great. Shout out to Red Bull. You know what I mean? I love Smack URL. And a lot of times, people always competing on the charts. What is it? J. Cole went platinum with no features? I guess that's version of pushing it. But he's removing competition for why anybody does this. And I don't necessarily think that's the case either. I think a lot of MCs really do have a penchant to be the best MC. And if that does require going head to head with another talented lyricist, that's what it requires. like, this is very watered down to me. I like the song. I like it as a song so far, but this is very watered. He has watered down this so much. And I don't know if it's necessary. You know, clearly we know where he stands. I'm sorry. But no shots. I'm enjoying the song, right? I do appreciate the parallel of the second verse with the first verse, for example. He gives a really interesting color on this perspective of growing up sort of the middle child or whatever in the first verse. You know, a person trapped between two worlds. You know, minimum wage, middle class, but still wanting more, you know. Connecting that, having his melanin tested and finding his escape. I love that. I actually really love that. I love it on the second part. I mean, you know, the second verse, I like him admitting that Drake did a lot for him. I like to get forget all the narratives part. I like get back to pushing your pen part. But he's just continues to sort of water down why other people do this. And I'm not sure if that's the case. Now, I agree with it. People don't do it for beef, but I definitely think competition. People do this, have competition at the core of all of hip hop. And truthfully, that's just kind of how America is, whether that's good or bad. You know what I mean? And so that to me resonates as plea copping.
Ain't stopping me, yeah. Y'all niggas ain't stopping me. 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 Y'all niggas ain't.
All right, that's the track. That's J. Cole's latest, Port Antonio. That just came out tonight. This is my first reaction to it. Yeah, I mean, it's a good song. It's a really good song. I think it's probably a great listen to. A great listen. I can see you riding to it. You know, it probably works well cleaning the house. Definitely smoking ride ready. Perhaps downshift into Mac mode as well. Women love J. Cole, so perhaps you can downshift into Mac mode to this track. I'm with that. I like the illusions. There's some bars in here. There's definitely some bars in here. That YouTube flip was really dope. You know, but yeah, more than anything else, you know, he's talking about this battle and sort of his place in it or outside of it. And I think it's a really great time for him to drop this song because the narrative is really starting to shift, right? It was starting to shift to J. Cole is choosing sides. It was starting to shift to, you know, Drake is about to go with J. Cole. It was about to shift to, you know, other directions. And I definitely feel like Drake wants to win. You know, I say that with no with no facts at all, but I just feel like he is someone who is very competitive. And I take that as someone who leans into the competitive nature of things that are happening around him, which is why he even took that battle with Kendrick, because he really didn't have to do that. His willingness to do that has caused a lot of questions and friction when it comes to, you know, other people as we look at this battle from, you know, 5 months away or whatever. His willingness to do that lets you know, in my opinion, lets me know how competitive Drake really is. And J. Cole is like, no, I am not battling you, Aubrey. I'm not gonna lose a bro, you know. And so I get where he's coming from. I guess he just has a higher energy, a higher calling. You know, he's got different goals, and I respect that. We all do. You know, I'm definitely, I definitely can understand that feeling. You know, I can understand the feeling of being like, okay, that was enough. You know, so I'm definitely not looking at him as someone who's wrong in that context at all. I actually have a lot of respect for him for doing that and taking that approach. Right. Where I veer away is how the framing remains. And I don't feel like J. Cole has just been quietly not sneak dissing over the past 10 years. I don't think J. Cole has been quietly not dropping subs over the past 10 years. You know, I don't think J. Cole is this person who's always stayed away from conflict. He calls people out. Over the course of his career, he's called people out a lot. You know, I don't like this idea that people don't do this for competition, right? I mean, he says beef in the song, but he names all these other things that isn't competition, and I don't like that idea. I don't think that's all that's necessary. You know, I think that is, you know, all these artists are writers, storytellers. You know, they're great at framing things, and this is the frame that where he is now. And perhaps that's a product of the growth and the work he's done on himself over the past however many years. He also referenced that in the Dreamville moment on stage when he apologized. And I really think that's a beautiful thing. So I understand where it comes from, but just lyrically and hearing it at this 5 months after this battle, it still resonates. It really sticks out like a green hat with an orange bill to me, I'll be honest. But I did enjoy the song. And so, you know what? I'm going to give this a 4.6 second applause. Word up. All right, so that's J. Cole's Port Antonio. This is my first reaction. Let me know what you guys think of it in the comment section. Maybe I'm being too hard on Cole, but I do sincerely understand the feeling of like, you know, okay, that was fun, but that was enough. We went back and forth enough. That's fun. It's over. And so I'm not knocking him for that by any means. I respect him for doing that. And I think it's a really solid song. It's a good song to listen to. My name is Justin Hunt. Like, subscribe to the channel. Follow at The Company Man on everything. It's all happening.
Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. The mathematical breakdown of this mighty game of rap we in. It's boom happening. Systematical culture views that's radical, it's all happening. Shaking hands and dabbing it. Life through the lens of hip hop, from trip hop to yes, y'all, you don't stop, you don't stop. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening. Justin Hunt is here, it's all happening. It's all happening, yes, it's all happening.